Hi. I've been waiting for the perfect time to do this, but I realized it would never come. So I'm doing it now in the middle of the night. I figured it would be easier to talk to myself because, yeah, I'm pretty cool. Rather than talking to just a camera because this is so uncomfortable. Holy crap. So yeah, let's try this. My name is Nada. It's nice to meet you. Sorry for disappearing for like a year. Uh, this video is supposed to be about what I was up to. But it's also a little introduction. It's crazy. There's like so many of you now, like more than 5,000 subscribers. I am someone who is incredibly uncomfortable being in front of the camera. I much prefer to be behind it. So that's why you've had my hands this whole time. But I figured as you'll see more what I talk about and how the past year has been, it'll make sense why I've decided to put my face and myself out there in my room and yeah, and to meet you. So thanks for sticking around if you're still seeing this. Hopefully you didn't lose faith in me, and let's get into this. This will probably be super disjointed and rambly. I have no script or plan. I'm just playing it by the ear and trying to... Because the truth is, I have no idea where this channel is gonna go, and I have no idea what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. Like, it constantly changes. I'm hoping I could, like, wash some molds while I do this. It would be less nerve-wracking. So, for a bit of context, my parents are diplomats. That means every 4 years of my life, we moved to a different country. When I was 18, I graduated high school in Tanzania, and I was given the option to go anywhere I wanted, which, super lucky. I moved to Montreal, Canada on my own. I went to art school, well, not art school, but I did a studio arts degree at Concordia University. My concentration was painting and drawing. Maybe I shouldn't scrub it like that. Maybe a bit softer. Yeah, my concentration was painting and drawing. My whole life I was like a painter, a drawer. My parents supported me wanting to be an artist. I'm super lucky in that way. So I really enjoyed living in the city on my own, probably more than going to school. I've always loved learning, but I just always hated school. And when I was around 21, I had a big crash. I was super anxious, I was depressed, I was like throwing up before painting critiques. And just, it wasn't good. At the same time, it happened that I had a visa problem with my, I had a problem with my student visa because I took a part-time semester, and I basically had to leave. So I was actually kind of relieved when I found out I was leaving. I was like, oh, this is a great chance to start again. At the time, my parents were living in Egypt, where I'm half Egyptian. And I hadn't lived there since the revolution. So I was excited to move back as an adult. I was like, oh, you know, we could pick up where we left off. I could get involved in art and activism. I could make a difference. My work could have meaning. My ideas could have value. But what I found when I got there is I was treated pretty much like a cockroach. I didn't find any spaces that I was accepted in. I remember, like, for example, I'm going to put footage of a pottery, like where all the pottery in Cairo happens. It's like the pottery village. And my idea was to just go there, meet people, you know, get involved in the community. But when I went there, I found most people there, you know, they're like working class men who seemed to be quite terrified of me. I put them on edge, you could tell. I stood out of place, and just, I don't know. Several experiences like that basically kind of made me want to give up a little bit. That's when I started the YouTube channel. I don't know what it was that got me thinking about pigments, but it just started there, and it was really lovely. It was a way to occupy my time. I tried to work in Egypt, but the economy was really bad. I was only making $200 a month, So I figured I'm better off just pursuing my art, you know? Even though I enjoyed the YouTube channel, I enjoyed like living with my parents, I enjoyed living with my dog and having a yard. It definitely felt like my life was stalling and I wasn't getting anywhere where I wanted to, career-wise, financially. So when I had the opportunity to move back to Montreal, I took it, and I moved back last December. So it's been a little bit over a year. I decided to finish my degree, and I just finished it this December, so it's been like 2 months since I graduated. And this time I definitely took a different approach to school. I'd always felt like I never really, like diplomas don't mean much these days. But spending those 2 years in Egypt kind of put things a bit more in perspective. And I was like, okay, well, with school you have an environment where there's community, there's people who are interested in the same things as you, there's emotional support, and there's room for experimentation. Painting and drawing felt somewhat limited, so I started taking classes in everything that felt really different or that scared me. So I took classes in performance art, in new media like electronics, programming, just a bunch of varied different things, robotics, for example. And I really enjoyed it. It started out with me just playing, but I was really enjoying the process, whether it was using a Kinect to kind of create the strippy live video, or my robotics project that failed a lot. There was kind of a process. There was a process or logic to kind of this openness of one working away from the wall, rethinking your space and environment, and what art objects are and what they aren't. What definitely stood out the most to me, and is something that I want to do a video on by itself, is performance art. Performance art completely changed the way I approach all the other media that I work on. It was pretty great. I did a bunch of performances, kind of where I started getting personal. And I would say that it even extends way past that. I mean, I did like AR filters, real masks, just absolutely everything became an opportunity to play, I would say. I had really started letting go of the idea that artwork has to be a set piece, and that the process was everything, and that, I don't know, you don't have to be like, I'm a painter, so I'm going to sit down and I'm going to paint all the time, and that's like my only mode of expression. It's this idea that you can use whatever is around you at the moment to play. Play is really the best way I can describe it. And it feels amazing. So a lot of the direction that performance art took me is it allowed me to really express myself. When it's just me out there, I don't want to play a character. And I want to be authentic in my expression. I don't want to create commodities for money, to be a brand or a professional or a factory. That's not my job. I didn't get into this to be a brand. I just wanted to make things and put them out there with the best of intentions. Which kind of applies to this, because I realized, it's I'm trying to bring a human element. I'm trying to remove artifice and scripts and music. It's just me and you. I don't know you, but that doesn't really matter. Like, I've signed up for this. So yeah. So when I moved back to Canada, I was a bit overwhelmed with school, obviously, and figuring out what media I want to do. It was very hard to accept that maybe I wasn't going to be a painter. I just fell out of love with it. I found it too difficult, and I still maintain that painting is the hardest art, and I'll make a video about that. So me making pigments was a way for me to procrastinate on painting. I hated this. Like, painting was great until I had to start thinking of monetizing it. Just the process of making something and thinking about who's gonna buy it, just thinking about the money aspect just made it really terrible. So I started making pigments as a way to avoid starting a painting. And then I just found myself making more and more pigments and never painting with them. And it's when I started to accept that maybe painting wasn't for me. Or maybe painting, it had felt like I had gone into a teenage marriage with painting. I mean, I've been doing it since I was like 10 years old. I love it. It was great having it in my life, but I definitely want to explore other options. I'm not ready to commit to it that way. And I also feel limited by it in many ways. So the past year was definitely a process of me accepting that while I may not be a painter, I can still be an artist. In regards to the channel, I don't think I'm going to be making more pigments, to be honest. It's just not fun for me. I do want to continue documenting what I'm working though. And the truth is that I work on a lot of different things, completely different media. I'll be like switching between candle making that I'm doing right now, mold making, electronics, media, just whatever the hell I'm into at the moment. And I do hope that you'll still stick around, but I completely understand if you don't, because I mean, this whole channel was about pigments. Yeah. Your comments were incredible. I have to say, I haven't been making much money or recognized in any way for the past few years, but the comments that you guys gave me, it sounds so cheesy, but it's so valuable. And I would tell my friends, I'm like, you know, like I don't make much, but the comments are worth gold. When people are like, you inspired me to start making my own pigments, or when people tell me about the pigments they've made, or just that they like my videos. It makes me feel like my existence has like some purpose, or that I'm not completely useless. That what I've decided to dedicate kind of my life to, other people are interested in. And yeah, please keep kind of sharing with me your experiences. Keep sharing with me what you've been doing and how you feel about things and your criticisms, because I appreciate it. It makes all of this worth it, because it's a lot of work, actually. Well, now it's not, now that... So as part of my stripping everything back, the quality of this channel is going to go for a very deep nosedive. I don't want to do cuts or fancy angles or music. It's just me and you. Yeah. We're going to go back to like early 2000s YouTube. Should be pretty fun. What else? I feel like this video is going to be scattered and all over the place. I should have probably written a script or something to follow, but I think it's a little bit late for that. A big heartbreak too with the pigments was that it was just constant failure. Half the pigments didn't work and I wasn't painting with them. But it was also a spark for me to start thinking about failure, how I deal with failure, ways to use and harness failure. that's starting to become more apparent in my work. I'm definitely way more comfortable. I mean, I still lose my mind every time something goes wrong, but I'm definitely more comfortable trying to see value in that, pushing it. I mean, the way I feel very uncomfortable about performing, so a lot of my performances are about that. My performances are about being deeply uncomfortable and in pain and sitting with that and making everyone else sit with that and just getting through it, you know? Like, after filming and posting this video, I'll still be breathing, hopefully, and it'll be a sign that this isn't gonna kill me, I think, even though it feels like that. But yeah, I super appreciate you indulging me in this kind of rant and weird introduction that didn't really introduce much. I'll see you in the next ones. We'll make more videos. Yeah.